Good morning, everybody. Welcome. Once again to Arnie's Fantasy World of Sports right here on the Lenny Melnick Fantasy Sports Network. And it was so good to hear Lenny open up our Tuesday. And so we got a lot to go over today. And we're going to talk about a little baseball, a lot of football. I had a 14-team half-point PPR draft last night. I'm going to tell you about my roster in that league. Yahoo graded it an A. I think it's the first time in a long time, if ever, that I have had a fantasy football draft graded as an A. There was one mistake I believe I made in the draft. I'll tell you about it. But overall, a good draft, and we're going to get into that. But before we get into a whole lot, let's talk about our current standings. And Lenny threw a dagger at me this morning. Yes, this Yankee team, they're out of control. They look defeated. Well, they have been defeated. They've lost 4 in a row, 21-20. And don't look now, but they only lead the Orioles by a game and a half. The Orioles are only a game and a half out of third place. The Yankees are no cinch to make a playoff. And if they keep playing like they are, they will not make the playoffs. Now, everybody thought at the beginning of the year that the Yankees were a shoo-in either to finish first in the division or to win a wild card. And they should be, with the talent that they have. But it's not always about talent. It's about how you perform on the field. You don't win games by collecting baseball cards. And, I know they've been beset by injury. I know Judge and Stanton, but that's part of the game. You put players on your team that can play. Now, in recent days, Miguel Andujar has been hitting the ball really well. But look, the Blue Jays put up a 10 spot in the 6th inning last night. And I'm watching the game, a few observations. First of all, this heralded Yankee bullpen is not so heralded. In fact, they're not very good. And did you notice the way Adam Ottavino wore his cap on the mound during the inning? He pulled it down over his eyes like, man, I can't believe I'm here doing this. And that's the way he pitched. Luke Voit, for all of the great hitting he's been doing, he's not a first baseman. And you've heard the old story, the ball will find you. Well, it seems to find Voit. Voit is another DH. I'm not saying he can't hit. I am saying he's not a first baseman, at least not in 2020. Could he become one? Maybe. He looks slow. He looks awkward. He misses balls. Pitching is killing the Yankees. Right now, Seattle at 19-22. They trail the Yankees by 2 games. So, the final playoff spots in the American League, you've got right now Tampa Bay. Let's look at it. You've got Tampa Bay at the number 1 spot. You've got Cleveland at number 2. You've got Oakland at number 3. You've got the White Sox at number 4. The Blue Jays at 5. The Astros at 6. The Twins at 7. And the Yankees at 8. And they lead the Orioles by a game and a half, and the Mariners by 2 games. And they only lead the Tigers by two games. So you got 4 teams. The Tigers, the Mariners, the Orioles, and the Yankees fighting for the 8th playoff spot. The Yankees are 4 games behind the Twins for the 7th spot. You're almost in a position where you have to think about the Yankees not winning the East at all. They trail the Rays by 6.5. And there are only like 18 games to go. Jeff Sutton chips in on Facebook saying, do you think the Yankees' pitching woes have anything to do with new pitching coach Matt Blake? Look, I think, Jeff, it's a combination. You've got new coaching there this year, and I'm not knocking the coaching. It's different. And there's an adjustment period. And you've only got 60 games, not 162 games, to adjust to it. So that's one thing. I think another problem with the Yankees, I'll just call it out, conditioning. Okay? Look, when will baseball players catch on that baseball is not football? It's not the bulkiest, strongest players who can be the most impactful in Major League Baseball. In baseball, it's fluid. It's stretched out. And the Yankees have these sluggers who are all muscle strong, and they're pulling muscles like crazy. They're not, look, Judge and Stanton are not offensive linemen. We'll talk about offensive linemen when I get to my football segment in just a few minutes. That's what we're going to spend some time on today, offensive lines and why they're important in fantasy football. But are the Yankees not catching on that the bulkier and more muscular Judge and Stanton are, the less they play? It's pretty simple. And so change the training tactics. Get these guys more stretched out, more limber, and less bulky. Also, another thing with the Yankees, other than DJ LeMahieu, how many single hitters do they have? You know, I saw a sign the other day, made me think about the Yankees. It said there's a coin shortage in America. Pennies are shortage. Singles in baseball are like pennies in our money circulation. Singles are in short supply. And the Yankees are loaded with power hitters, but no on-base hitters. There's no balance there. Torres is having an incredibly bad year. Judge and Stanton, I don't know when they'll play again. I mean, come on, when Brett Gardner is your third hitter, are you kidding me? I mean, I like his hustle. I like his spunk. I hustle too when I play. But should I hit third for the Yankees? Oh, no. And then Gary Sanchez, who before being benched, his last game went 0 for 5. He was 4 for 46. I cannot believe, if Clint Frazier went 4 for 46, he'd never gone 4 for 46. He'd have been benched long before that. Somehow, someway, Gary Sanchez is exempt. I think it creates bad karma in the clubhouse. I really do. They won't talk about it. I will. That's what I do. I talk about things. I get people thinking about it. Look, if you got a teammate who's 4 for 46 and you go 0 for 5 and you're put on the bench, I don't care who you are. You're human. You got to be thinking, man, he can go 4 for 46. Why is he on the bench? And it creates this bad karma in your clubhouse. So, Jeff, you got new pitching woes with a new pitching coach. You've got training methods that I question. You've got treatment of some players different than others. There's no doubt. I mean, Gary Sanchez came on the scenes as this great power hitter, and there was talk 3 years ago, oh yes, that the Marlins would have traded JT Realmuto for Gary Sanchez. But the Yankee front office, in all their lack of wisdom, and it's just like this trade deadline, saying that the price was too high, I call bull on that. I remember going back to Jesus Montero in 2010, and there was a trade offer. The Phillies wanted to trade Cliff Lee, who was a Cy Young pitcher at the time, to the Yankees, and in return get Jesus Montero. And Cashman said, the price is too high. So they trade Lee to Texas. Texas eats the Yankees' lunch in the playoffs, go on to go to the World Series, and the Yankees haven't been to the World Series since. They didn't go that year, and they haven't been since. Jesus Montero, too high a price for Cliff Lee? Are you kidding me? So the fourth piece to the puzzle is, maybe this is too strong, arrogance. Sometimes you can think you're better, what you have is better than it really is. And when you're offered a trade for an impact player who has established themselves, let the Jesus Montero for Cliff Lee illustration carry on to 2020. Erik Kratz is a better option, you're right, Jeff, right now than what they have with Sanchez. So there's a lot going on, and I wonder behind the scenes how much of that control or attitude had something to do with getting rid of Joe Girardi. Girardi was a great manager in New York. And I think maybe, and it won't come out, okay, but maybe the personality conflicts, the way of looking at things. Girardi more of a, let's see it happen, not this symmetric stuff we hear about. The Yankees need to change their philosophy. And when they do, the Yankees will be the Yankees again. But the philosophy is not in sync with the players that they have. It's not in sync with the game today, nor are the Yankees. Let's talk about something else. Giving you the American League. Let's look at the National League. The Dodgers at 30-12. Number 2 are the Braves. Number 3 are the Cubs. Number 4, the Padres. Number 5, the Phillies. Number 6, the Cardinals. Number 7, the Giants. Number 8, the Marlins. The Marlins and Giants tied at 500 records for 7 and 8. Just behind them, the Rockies a half a game behind, and the Brewers a game and a half behind. The Mets are 2.5 games behind. So you've got a lot of competition between 5 or 16 for the last 2 spots there. And remember, the Cardinals are 17 and 16. They only lead the Giants and Marlins by a half game. It is going to be a dogfight to the end. Now, I tell you a team that, look out, we've talked about them, the Padres, they are for real. I know they'll finish second in the division, or it looks like they will. They're 4.5 games behind the Dodgers on this beautiful Tuesday morning, September, the 8th of September. But do the Padres not scare you? Danielson Lamet last night. Did you check out Lamet? I'm sure he's been talked about everywhere. But Lamet pitching for the Padres. Let's look at his number. First of all, the Padres win 1-0. And as we look at the box scores, a Jurickson Profar walk-off extra base hit. Profar went 2 for 4. But Lamet went 7 2/3, 6 hits, no walks, no runs, 11 strikeouts. He has a 2.24 ERA on the season. Pomerantz has now thrown 14 innings this year. He's given up no earned runs and has a whip of .64. Yeah. The Padres are a scary bunch. They win in different ways. Tatis is hitting .314. Machado's hitting .295. Hosmer gets injured. What a brilliant move, not knowing what they were doing, really, in this respect. Not knowing Hosmer was going to be injured and maybe out now for the rest of the season. They go out at the trade deadline and get Mitch Moreland. You replace a Gold Glove first baseman with a good bat with another Gold Glove first baseman with a good bat. Hosmer was hitting .288. Moreland's hitting .279. Then they have Austin Nola, who they traded for the catching